Hey guys, welcome back to the CulePodcast. Welcome back to another video. On today's video, guys, we're going to be talking about Barcelona's opponent in the round of 16 as the UCL draw. It just happened today. We're going to be knowing who Barcelona are going to be facing in the round of 16, but as well who Barcelona are going to be facing if they do advance beyond the round of 16. We're going to be looking at the draw and everything. And as well, we're going to be looking at Hansi Flick's words in his press conference before Barcelona's match tomorrow against Las Palmas. And then lastly, talking about Dani Olmo as Barcelona. They've conducted genetic studies in order to get the best possible fitness level out of Dani Olmo. But guys, as always, make sure to follow me on all of my social media platforms. Everything is posted down below in the description. Go over there and check me out. That way you can stay up to date with everything that I do on the channel. But guys, let's start with the video. All right, guys, let's get started with the video and let's talk about Barcelona's route to the Champions League final. Now, Barcelona's opponent in the round of 16 is Benfica. In yesterday's video, I was talking how Barcelona could potentially be either facing PSG or Benfica. And now, we now know Barcelona, they're going to be playing Benfica in the round of 16. And when you look at the draw, how it's structured, if Barcelona, they are to advance, they'd be facing the winner of Borussia Dortmund and Lille. And if Barcelona, they continue to advance, they would be facing either the winner of the Bayern Munich Leverkusen tie, Inter Milan versus Feyenoord, and then the winner between the two winners, basically. And when you look at our side of the draw, it's a very favorable and manageable side compared to the left side, which has teams like Arsenal, Real Madrid, Atleti, PSG, Liverpool, and even Aston Villa. You know, all of those teams I would say are the much more difficult side of the draw. And so Barcelona, they were fortunate in that. But I don't want to take anything for granted. We've seen how difficult Benfica has, been. We can just go until last month, guys, when Barcelona, we had that historic comeback in which, it ended into a 5-4 Barcelona victory. And so I'm taking nothing for granted. It's going to be very difficult still being on this right hand side of the bracket, but it's much more accessible, much more convenient. I would say the matches for Barcelona are a lot more favorable than if Barcelona, they were going to be on the left hand side. But looking at how well Barcelona have been playing right now, you would be expecting a semi-final minimum from Barcelona. And I ask you guys, how far do you guys think this team can go in the Champions League? Looking at this draw, and which teams, do you say catch your eye? Which ties are you most interested in? I'm looking out at the tie between Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid, the Madrid derby. I'm also looking at PSG versus Liverpool. Could we have a Madrid-Liverpool semi-final? Could we have an Inter Milan versus Barcelona semi? Bayern Munich versus Barcelona? It's super, super interesting to see all the different combinations that could be happening. But absolutely, absolutely amazing. And we now know Barcelona's opponent in the round of 16. But now, guys, I want to be moving on and I want to be talking about Hansi Flick as Barcelona. They are back in La Liga after another, I would say, break in midweek. And he spoke in the press conference before Barcelona's match against Las Palmas. He talked about how he sees them as a rival. And he says it was a very difficult match at home, and we are now focused on being prepared and showing our strength. It is a match that will serve to decide the championship. And that's absolutely the case. Barcelona, they did drop points to Las Palmas when they did visit us in our home stadium. And now Barcelona, they're going to have to raise that level and continue the good level that we've been showing in these past couple of games in La Liga and try to replicate that very, very good sensation. Las Palmas not going to be an easy team, even though they haven't been in a very, very good run of form. They have 4 losses in their last 5 games. And continuing on, Hansi Flick, he talks about that Champions League draw, and he says it's a difficult match because they're playing very well. No opponent will be easy to beat at this stage. Right now, every game is difficult. It will be complicated. And so Hansi Flick sharing the sentiment of a lot of Barcelona fans. It's not going to be easy for Barcelona, regardless of who we face. We are in the knockouts. The teams who reach in the knockouts are quality teams, but you do, maybe breathe a sigh of relief knowing that Barcelona don't have to be on the tougher side of the bracket. Hansi Flick, he now talks about upcoming rotations. He says we'll train today and then decide. We always focus on the next game, but we also have to think about Atletico. But the most important game now is against Las Palmas. And so looking at how Barcelona, they are going to be potentially, going all out in the game against Atletico Madrid in the Copa del Rey. Could some rotations be made this weekend? I don't know. Maybe one or two starters. You rest some players. You start some players. You can even substitute some players early on into the match. Hansi Flick, he now talks about the wear and tear that Madrid will experience against Atletico. He says, of course, Madrid is a very strong team, one of the best teams, and it has the squad to manage its games. For us, it's important to show our quality in every game. We are currently in a great moment, but there is still a long way to go. Absolutely. Hansi Flick now talks about the possibility of a Champions League final between Barcelona and the Real Madrid. And honestly, that would be a super, super exciting final. I don't think it's a final that's happened many, many times over, especially in the Champions League. It's going to be super, super rare for that to happen. And Hansi Flick says, first of all, we have to reach the final. That's the first objective. And I don't care who we play against. First, we have to play against a very good team like Benfica. And that's absolutely the case. Barcelona, they should not make the mistake of getting ahead of themselves and think that, oh, just because we're on the easier side of the bracket, because we're facing against a team like Benfica, who we've already managed to be, that it's a guarantee that we'll be in the final. No, that's not the case. First, we have to go game by game. And I will admit, we do have a favorable route, but that does not mean that everything is just set for us to win. That's not the case. Hansi Flick now talks about whether Barcelona can win the treble. And he says it's not easy. It's very difficult, but there are no excuses. We have to do our best, and when you see the quality of the other teams, it's incredible. This is football, and it's good for everyone to play these games at the highest level, and that's why we play and we try hard. It's good to see this level, and that's going to be the goal. Whether Barcelona, they reach that goal, I don't know, but the sensations that this team is giving and the performances that they are showing, you would want Barcelona to do the best it possibly can throughout this season and gain as much success as it possibly can. Hansi Flick now talks about the atmospheres regarding referees who, with the whole Madrid saga and everything, it has, become sort of a mess. Hansi Flick says, in this competition, it's also important to think about the referees and their families. We all make mistakes. The responsibility of the players and the coaches is to protect them. I don't like what's happening. The referees make their decisions, but they have the VAR. We have to trust the referees, and the federation has to show them support. We have to protect them. We have to change. And this is in regards to, the referee who sent off Jude Bellingham in that Real Madrid game, to the point where the referee now is afraid to leave his own house. He's been receiving death threats. He's been, threatened. People are taking photos of his house, of where he lives. That is going way, way too far, guys. You should not be involving the personal lives of these referees and anything of that sort. That's absolutely horrendous. How, your fans actually harassing, berating these referees and going to their personal homes and abusing them. That should not be the case. That is shameful behavior. Even if the referees, they do make mistakes, it's a job. You should never cross the line and, be threatening people because of footballing decisions. That should not be the case. And it's very, very sad what's happening right now. Hansi Flick he continues to talk about the referee situation that arose with Jude Bellingham. He says, I don't have to say anything about this. I said about Bellingham in the last press conference. He's a great player, one of the best in his position. He's not my player, and I don't have anything to say about this. What matters to me is my team on the pitch. That's what I want to see. 100% the case. Move on. You've given your opinion, and that's it. And the last quote in regards to the referees, he says, we, as in the footballing community, always try to find excuses. If we lose, it's the referee's fault, but that's not the case. We can all make mistakes. They can too. But we have to protect them. We can't play without referees. We have to protect them, and maybe we have to play better to be able to win. I completely agree. Barcelona and any other team in La Liga, they should first look at their own performances and not look to the referees as scapegoats. But we have to admit, guys, at times the referees, they directly impact the game. And when the game is so, tightly contested and defined by narrow margins, those errors from the referees, it can play a huge impact into the outcome and potentially cost trophies and silverware. And so, it is understandable why people are frustrated, but it should never get to the point where people are abusing and constantly threatening referees. That should never be the case. And now, Hansi Flick, he talks about Vitor Roque because, as we talked about in yesterday's video, there is interest from Palmeiras who are interested in signing Vitor Roque permanently. Hansi Flick says, "It's not my job. I take care of my players, and he decided to leave. If something needs to change, it is up to Deco." Interesting. Hansi Flick now talks about their approach against a team like Las Palmas. It says at home they show that they are a great team and that they know how to play. Then they have not had such good results. They have had injuries. We all think about Kylian and we wish him the best because health is the most important thing we have. Absolutely. Hansi Flick now talks about Dani Olmo and the plans built around him to avoid injuries. It says, yes, we are thinking about this. He was injured last season and we have to take precautions and we plan to do the same with Pedri. And that is Barcelona's plan to basically and get the best out of Dani Olmo, because a report right now from Mundo Deportivo is saying that Barcelona, they've conducted genetic studies in research laboratories in Baltimore. Those studies, they've yielded positive results, and they're going to be optimizing and tailoring that training to get the best level out of Dani Olmo. It's sort of similar to what Barcelona did with Pedri, where they analyze the DNA, analyze, what is the best route, what is the best training method in order to maximize Dani Olmo or Pedri's potential and prevent injuries. And Barcelona, they're going to be looking to do this with, basically every single player who is injury prone in order to get the best out of them and to prolong performance. And I'm 100% behind this. Those players who are injury prone, you want them to be out there on the pitch and actually performing. And if these genetic studies can lead to that, then I'm all in favor of it. And hopefully we can see some positive results. And now the last quote from Hansi Flick, guys, is in regards to, that workload of the players. And he says, all the players in the team are in good physical shape, but we do have to think not only about this match, but about the next ones, and then the international matches with our national teams. We have that in mind, the players' data, and that's our job. Maybe we can allow 2 players to rest and let the others play. We have players at a very high level, and when the squad is fit, and when you have players who are, being rested and who are being able to rest and have their minutes be managed, then you have a squad who is fresh and is able to compete at the highest level. And when obviously you're Barcelona, you have the quality of bringing some quality players off of the bench, and that allows Barcelona to be more consistent throughout the season. And that's going to be very, very key, managing the minutes of your key starters, and very, very vital. But guys, that was it for the Barcelona news of the day. What do you guys make of Barcelona's opponent in the round of 16 against Benfica? How do you guys see that game going? Let me know your score predictions down below. And how do you guys fancy Barcelona's chances in the UCL overall? And lastly, what are your score predictions for tomorrow? How is the Las Palmas versus Barcelona game going to go? But as always, guys, thank you guys all for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys all in the next video. Peace out, guys.